BetOnline is your number one source for the NBA Finals and Stanley Cup Finals this season. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus on our first deposit. Bet online. The game starts here.
So the Dodgers go into New York and they take 2 out of 3 games from the mighty Yankees. I don't know about you guys, but I wasn't quite sure how this series is going to turn out. So we'll get into that. But before we get into that, joining me on this episode is Carlos. You guys know Carlos from our weekly lives, and also joining us for the first time is Alyssa. So Alyssa, glad to have you on. And how you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm good. Just recovering from that weekend against the Yankees. So yeah, just happy to be here. Happy for the wins.
So Alyssa, real quick before we get going, so kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. Alyssa's she's helping us on the Dodgers beat site. She's actually came on a couple weeks ago and doing some writing for there, so you'll be able to find her work on the website, and hopefully occasionally we'll have her pop on the podcast as well.
Yeah, I've been a Dodger fan since I was in diapers. I kind of have been following more along with it since I was probably like a teenager. Played college softball, so played softball my whole life, so kind of knew the game a little bit on that side, but it's a little different with baseball. We're not going to get into that, like which one's better. So yeah, with just following the Dodgers since I was a baby, and now happy to contribute to Dodger Beat. Just trying to find my way, on this.
Awesome. So yeah, so guys, like I was telling you guys, so big weekend in New York, right? Dodgers go in to New York after losing 2-3 in Pittsburgh, and we were talking on the live last week how this Dodgers team we don't really know kind of who this Dodgers team is. They'll get hot and then they'll go into these streaks where they're not hitting at all, and we kind of saw that in Pittsburgh. And then going into New York, how are you guys feeling? Like once they finished that Pittsburgh series, they knew, okay, they're going to New York. Alyssa, we'll start with you first. How did you feel when they completed that series and they're going to New York? What were your expectations going into New York?
Honestly, I thought if we can't score with runners in scoring position, I didn't think we were going to get past them. Like, you have a dominant lineup with those Yankees, and just after those losses against the Pirates, like, you don't want to bash on the Pirates, but like, they're the Pirates, so it's kind of like I was kind of down on it. I just didn't think they were going to come out like that, and especially the first game, you obviously saw it was a low-scoring game. They had to go into extras. I was even seeing tweets put out like, this is not going to be a win for the Dodgers, so just kind of seeing them get that first win, I think it kind of just like snowballed into that next game. And then I think the last game they kind of just fell off the edge. Obviously they didn't. I just feel like it's repetitive to me. Just we get wins and then all of a sudden we go back into not doing what's right with situational hitting. That's what I think.
Yeah, so I mean, looking back at that series, right, the first game, extra innings, they don't score until the 11th, right? The second game, they go ahead and kind of open that up late. And then even the third game, I think they could have won that game. They could have swept this series. But also, too, you kind of look at it, well, they could have lost that first game, too, right? And then maybe they could have lost 2 out of 3. But we'll look at the positive, right? And I think they could have swept it. Going back to the live last week, Carlos, I believe you're the only one that said, I think they can sweep. I'd mentioned maybe 2 out of 3 they can get there, but you had kind of mentioned you think they can sweep that series, right? Why did you think that?
Yeah, so I was talking about how the Dodgers, when they play bad teams, they come and they beat the Dodgers. Now, unfortunately, at the time the Dodgers went into Yankee Stadium, they were the bad team. And sometimes you need to play a good team to elevate the level of play for your own team. Some sort of found motivation. And I know that on the telecast on the last game in Pittsburgh on Thursday, the guys on the TV, they were saying that this is a must win. It was a must win to win on Thursday so they can carry that momentum into the Yankee series. And that's exactly what happened. You know, one of the good things about this series was this discussion about Yamamoto, you know, how the Dodgers are getting like kind of almost like laughed at for spending so much money for Yamamoto. And he actually proved that he is worth the money, that he, when it comes to pitching in a crucial game, which is why he got hired, why he got contracted, was for October, not for, you know, I mean, yeah, we want to win games during the season, but his main goal was, hey, when it counts, can you pitch on real high intensity games? And he did. He showed that. He was, I forget his line right now, but he was amazing. He pitched a great game. He shut down the Yankees. So that was great on the first game. And then, you know, we had Teoscar being the hero in that game. And then the next game, Saturday, question is Stone, is he going to be sent back to the minors? Is he going to send to the bullpen when Miller comes? Well, he answered that question too. I think he's here to stay. He's a legit pitcher. He's an MLB pitcher, truly a good pitcher now. And once again, Teoscar steps up and he becomes a hero for another game. And then Sunday, yeah, I agree with you, Roger. There's they could have won that game. You know, there was the double that Judge hit. I think it should have been caught. I think, you know, I said before, you know, if Outman had anything on Pages, was his defense. I think Outman would have caught that ball. I think that's an out. I thought the play at third base where Pages, you know, his sliding, where he's always lifting his, I believe is it right leg? They should have reviewed the play regardless, because you don't take reviews home, you know? So Robert should have called for a review, check to see what happened, you know, what's the outcome. Maybe he gets lucky. It's like a 50-50 shot. So I thought that play, the outfield, I mean, the game, we could have won the game. But you know what? 2 out of 3. I think that's what you and I were mentioning. We could sweep, or we could take 2 out of 3, and we did. And so overall, it turned out to be a pretty decent road trip for the Dodgers. And, you know, we're carrying that momentum now. Hopefully they got a day off today, and starting tomorrow, you know, Joe Kelly jersey against the Rangers and his, you know, former teammate Corey Seager. So I think they're, you know, hopefully this is the start of something good.
Yes, I mean, so overall, you know, 3-3 road trip. You know, they end up, you know, losing the series in Pittsburgh, then winning the series in New York. You know, going back to Pittsburgh a little bit, I mean, they face 2 hot young pitchers right now, in Paul Skeens and Jared Jones. You know, Paul Skeens, we've heard all the hype about this guy, just what he brings. And Jared Jones, he's been just as good, but he was kind of, I think, a little underrated until he actually got to the big leagues, where he's been showing this guy's pretty dominant. And I think that's one of the things that the Dodgers kind of have been caught off guard this year is guys that are throwing high velocity, and these guys were throwing high velocity. You know, Jared Jones, I think he was up about averaging about over 100, and he hadn't touched that. You know, he hadn't been throwing that hard all season to that point. And I was kind of making the points because, I mean, the kid's, he's a local kid. He's from La Mirada. He's facing the team that he grew up watching. So you kind of expected that. And then, you know, Paul Skeens, I mean, just this guy's ridiculous. I mean, just the way he goes, and he's one of those guys that throws the ball and it kind of looks like a wiffle ball, just the way it moves. So, I mean, losing to those guys, you know, I can see it, you know, but, you know, like Les was saying, like, it's the Pirates. Like, I mean, I think you should still go in there and take care of business. You know, they didn't. They did it on the third game. But overall, I mean, what did you think about those first 2 games facing Jared Jones and Paul Skeens? And we'll start with you, Alyssa.
Yeah, I just think, like you said, they were caught off guard. They haven't been doing good against high velocity. I think Ohtani got a hold of one against Skeens, and I think that just shows, like, if you put barrel to ball, it flies, and especially in Pittsburgh, like, I just think I've seen interviews with Roberts about them, and their approach at the plate. They're just not swinging at good pitches. But when you have someone with high velocity, you just got to capitalize on the ones that you think that you can put barrel to ball to. So that's, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I mentioned that in the group chat, like, there was with Paul Skeens, guy throws hard, but sometimes I think especially like the one that Ohtani got a hold of, it kind of went right over the middle. So even if he's throwing hard, MLB hitters will get that, especially if it doesn't move. And I think that was one, like, when that Ohtani got a hold of, you know, like you said, he put the barrel right to the ball, and that thing flew out. But what did you see, Carlos, from those 2, from facing those two guys and then eventually winning that third game.
You know what? Back to what Mookie said at the beginning of the season about, it just feels like everybody's, when they play the Dodgers. I mean, obviously we know it's not their World Series, but it's definitely they bring their best. Before that game, I think he topped out at 101.4, I think, during the Dodger game, and he hadn't even hit that number yet. I think the Jones, who was pitching. So look, the guy was amped to play against his, the team that he rooted for when he was a youngster. So, I mean, his line was, I have it here, 6 innings, 3 hits, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. On Sunday, he pitched against I think it was the Twins, if I'm mistaken. But his line was 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. So it wasn't as sharp, And I think a lot has to do with who they're playing with. And when you're playing the Dodgers, I mean, look at Yankee Stadium. It was so packed with fans, and people were saying how loud it was, and they hadn't been that loud in a long time. So the Dodgers bring the best out of the players. And same thing with Skeens. I thought the Dodgers did well against them. They did. I think they scored 3 runs, and they knocked 2 home runs. Nobody's talking about the Pages home run. I mean, yeah, give the kid credit. He hit a home run off one of the future top pitchers in the league. So, Dodgers, despite the fact that they lost, they could have easily won both of those games. But it's just that's baseball. You can't win them all, and sometimes you just fall into that that little rut where you're playing these like top pitchers, young pitchers, and they're just throwing their best game of their career early on. So that's what I saw. And then, like I said, thank goodness they pulled that one off on Thursday. I think that's the one Paxton pitched, right, Roger? And Paxton, I think he only pitched like 2 innings. Yeah. So it was they could have easily got swept, but Dodgers got it together and were able to pull one victory out of that series.
Yeah, and going back to with Skeens, like you were saying, like, yeah, I mean, I was surprised that they were able to actually get some runs off of him, and the Baez home run, the Shohei home run, and Skeens he's also a Southern California kid too, but I believe he rooted for the Angels, so he was an Angels guy. Shohei was one of the guy he looked up to, and so he was looking forward to those matchups with Shohei, and he struck him out the first time and the third time, I believe. And then the second one where he hits the home run, there's video of him where he turns around and like he has this huge smile on his face, like he's probably thinking like, my idol just like went hit a bomb off me right now, right? I mean, that's going through his head. So I mean, it was cool to see that. Skeens is going to be he's going to be around for a while. This guy looks legit, but kind of getting back to like, I was kind of, my expectation in those games were like, okay, make these guys pitch, get them out, and then kind of go into the bullpen and be able to score there. That's something I haven't noticed a lot this season. I don't know if you guys have noticed it a lot, but Dodgers usually make the starting pitchers work a lot. And I don't know if that something, I don't know if you guys, have you noticed that this year? Like, are they not doing that same approach? And I don't know, maybe it has to do maybe with guys like Max Muncy not being there, giving those long at bats. And is that something you've noticed?
Yeah, I just think kind of going off what Carlos said, I think it's just not letting, how do I word this? How you said like every game is like a World Series games. These pitchers are coming in thinking like, I want to dominate against these guys, and like I just feel like the hitters aren't having that approach of, I don't want to say like a winner's mentality. It's more of like, let me just it's more of, I just need to get on base. So just kind of not making those pitchers work and not getting to the bullpen, I feel like it's really affecting the Dodgers in the sense of seeing different speeds, seeing different pitches and stuff like that.
Getting back to Carlos, do you think having a guy like Max Muncy not in the lineup, because Max Muncy would always take, I'd say at least on average, he's seen maybe like 5, 6, 7 pitches in at bat. So over the course of a game, he might see 15, 20 pitches from, the starter. You think that's having an effect on maybe getting to the bullpen early for the Dodgers against some of these guys?
Well, yeah, Max Muncy notoriously prior to this year, I think he was known for taking a lot of walks, taking a lot of pitches. He had a good eye for the strike zone. So, I mean, but in the whole as the Dodgers, they're still making the pitchers work. Jones's game on Tuesday, he threw 100 pitches in 6 innings. Skeens through 93 and 5 innings. So they did make them work, and that's why they got out. Unfortunately, the Dodgers couldn't do much in the first game against the bullpen and couldn't score that, elusive 1 run to just tie the game. And then in the next game, it was like kind of back and forth. And I think on that one, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was, I don't want to say he let us down, but I think it was Yarbrough who allowed those runs at the end. And, that kind of factored into the game, and it kind of made the game. It was unreachable at that time. So, but I think they are making them work. I think they could make them work a little harder. But, overall, I think the Dodgers in general, the lineup, they're making the starters work.
Yeah. So moving on. So, they get that win. Now they're headed to New York. And like I was telling you guys, like I was hoping that the Dodger team that, was going to show up, the one that knows, hey, how good they are, who they're playing under the bright lights. And that's the team that showed up, especially that first game, right? You have pitchers duo, Yamamoto was fantastic. I think he gave up like 2 hits, I think, that entire night. This is something I was mentioning too on the live is Yamamoto, when he's on, he's throwing these pitches that these other major leaguers, they really haven't seen, and they haven't seen Yamamoto in the first place, right? So if he's on, he's going to catch, get these guys off guard. And I think that's what he did with the Yankees that night. But, pitchers duel, and, and then finally you get Teoscar to drive in, hit that double to drive in the 2 runs, which they needed, because I don't like that extra inning rule, right? I always think they put that runner on second. I usually think that run should pretty much always score. We've seen it doesn't score, but once they got the 2 runs and we knew, okay, that run scores, no big deal, right? It's 2-1. That's kind of where it ended. But Yamamoto stepping up on the big bright lights, and I'd heard this before. That's kind of one of the reasons why when the teams he was looking at the Yankees, was kind of looking at the Dodgers. He wanted the bright lights, and he'd been successful in Japan pitching in big games. And I think we saw it now with Yamamoto going forward. Like, how confident are you in Yamamoto, seeing him in the postseason, being in that, top 1-2 guys in that rotation for the postseason? Start with Alyssa.
Yeah, I just think it was like a different guy out there. Like, I was watching the game live, and I was even screaming for him, and I could see his passion for it. Like, I'm not saying he never had passion in the past games, but like you said, the bright lights, you could tell, like, he was just ready for that game. He wanted the ball. And so that makes me feel confident in postseason to bring that energy, to bring that momentum. So I feel pretty confident in him. He had, like, I think I just saw right now, my thing just turned off. He had like 7 strikeouts. He went 7 innings. Like, it's rare that Roberts actually leaves him in for that long. And I think it was because of just the drive he had during that game. So it was really cool to see.
Yeah, and I think he went a little over 100 pitches too, and I think that'd been the thing too. I think 1 or 2, maybe once more prior to that, he had gone over 100, so he hadn't really hit that plateau yet. But this time I think Roberts gave him the confidence. He sent him out there. Carlos, what did you see from Yamamoto?
So you know what I saw was he's the real deal. In a game where we knew that he had to perform, he did. 7 innings, 7 strikeouts. I think a couple of times he hit 98. And it goes back to what we were talking about, Jones pitching against the Dodgers. Well, same thing applies, at least to me, Yamamoto pitching to the Yankees. He was throwing harder than I had seen him throw before. And he just his energy, the way when he struck out, I forget who it was in the first inning or something, or the second, and he was just so pumped up, and so, it definitely, I feel confident now watching him pitch like that against a good elite team. And so I think the rest of the season should be, honestly, he should have a really good rest of the season. This is as good as it gets right now, for the, I guess, until we play like the Phillies or something, or the Orioles. So right now he's looking good. I think his next start probably is going to be against the Royals, which is another pretty good team. So I have full confidence in his ability to pitch in high leverage games.
Now with his velocity too, I think they asked him about that. Was it because of where he was playing, who he was playing, and I think they attributed to. He said he made a mechanical tweak, and I saw something online where it was focused on his glove. Like he had kind of his glove more straight, and then in that game he actually had it more tweaked in. So they were saying that that's what could have contributed to the spike in the velocity. I mean, it could have been that, but also I definitely think, playing in New York, playing for a team that was courting him in the offseason and wanted him to go there, kind of knowing, hey, LA, New York, I think, all that contributed. But yeah, I mean, I definitely, I had seen Yamamoto, right? We've seen him this year, and kind of he'd have some really good games, and then some games, I mean, he's been overall good, but there's been games where they jump on him and they get that fastball or whatever. But I think this game was completely solid, for the 7 innings. So
he's
really
scheduled to pitch on Thursday against the Rangers
on his bobblehead night. So that should be pretty.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I know you're going to be there.
Should be pretty
I
interesting.
wonder how packed that's going to be this time.
Yeah, I mean, compared to the Shohei one, right? How's this
Yeah.
one going to be?
You know what? I'm looking at the prices. I mean, it seems to kind of fluctuate a little lower. I think it'll still be packed, but not as crazy as Ohtani. But that's cool. You don't see that too often where they usually pitch on their bobblehead. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah. So the second game, Dodgers went down 11-3. But I mean, it was actually a pretty competitive game until the fifth, sixth inning. It was kind of, it was tied, and then the Dodgers finally got a couple more runs in the fifth and sixth, and then Teoscar Hernández hits that home run the grand slam in the eighth. What have you guys been seeing from Teoscar Hernández? I mean, this guy, right? We've discussed this before. Kind of like an underrated signing in the offseason. They knew, not that he was underrated, but kind of just the way they picked him up. They knew what he can do. Mash on lefties and kind of just. I personally think he brings a different energy to this team. Right? It's a different vibe from this guy. Kind of just that's different from like a Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. And you kind of see it, especially when he's running around the bases. He kind of shows that emotion. He kind of plays with that fire. But Alyssa, what are you seeing from Teoscar right now, and what do the Dodgers got to do to keep this guy long term?
Well, we were talking earlier about Max Muncy not being in the lineup. I think he's trying to fill that role. Like, obviously, it's not a third baseman role, but it's that role in the lineup that the Dodgers need in order to have that fire, have that kind of fight with them. And I personally love Hernandez. I would love to see him more as a Dodger. But the numbers speak for themselves. I think he's on a streak right now of hits or being on base, and just I think it just gets the lineup going, especially that bottom of the order that just needs their one goal is to get on base. But once you see your teammate hitting, you just want to hit. So it's just kind of passing that bat back and forth.
And I think actually the bottom of the lineup actually did pretty good, right, Carlos? You can probably double check this series, right? And I know Lux was getting his hits, and I know Kike had a couple hits, a home run as well. So they were a little better this weekend, right, Carlos? I mean,
yeah, no. I was pulling up the stats. So my stats are based on the 15-game stretch. And I did this stat where I'm trying to – so the bottom of the lineup without Taylor and Hernandez, Kike Hernandez, is batting 286. So, that's a lot better. And the middle of the lineup is batting 308. And this is in the last 15 games. The top of the lineup has been struggling a bit with Ohtani and Betts. And I know they're going to turn it around, but right now they've been struggling 210. And Freeman's kind of been holding them together because he's been batting pretty well. But yeah, the 4-5-6 have been batting 308 and 286 for the bottom. So yeah, overall, I mean, I know early on we were concerned about the bottom of the order. They're stepping up. They're definitely they've improved a lot. And then Lux had a really good game on the last game. He was 3 for 4, and he looked like he's coming out of his slump. And I mean, I know a lot of people want to get rid of Lux, and there's just Lux, no Lux, but he's coming back from a serious injury. Give him some time, but to me, he's got his stick is he can hit. He can hit the ball, and he can. So I think, and at second base, I think he's committed only one error. So overall, as a player, he's not doing that bad, So the bottom lineup has improved, and we need the big guys to be more consistent, in my opinion. And and I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for Otani and Betts to get it together. But and
Yeah, I mean, going back to like with Teoscar, what Teoscar is doing, his rankings among outfielders, I believe in the NL, he's like right at the top, like I think like top 3, 1, 2, 3. So, and we'll discuss this on another episode when we talk about more all stars. But I think he's an all star for the NL. I think he'll be in that he should be a starter in the NL outfield. But I mean, when you look at the possible all stars on that team, I mean, you think, okay, Will Smith should be there, Freddie Freeman should be there, Mookie Betts. I think Teoscar should be there. And then when you look at the pitching, Glasnow should be there. Yamamoto should be there. I mean, there should be a lot of all stars on this Dodgers team, and just it just shows how good this team can really be. I mean, a lot of people are talking about this matchup with the Yankees and Dodgers, right? Possible World Series preview, and it's going to be tough for either side for the Dodgers to get through, that postseason and get there. And I think same thing for the Yankees. But do you guys think not having Juan Soto in the Yankees lineup this weekend kind of drastically changed that series? We'll start with you, Alyssa. I mean, do you think if Juan Soto would have been in these games, maybe the Dodgers don't walk away with 2 out of 3?
Honestly, I think so, because Soto was a huge part of their lineup, and just you even heard it from the crowd chanting, "We want Soto." I mean, granted, the guy hit a home run when they were chanting that, but that was a huge loss. And like I said, that Yankees lineup is stacked, and so I think they had opportunities to score too, and they didn't capitalize as well. So just I'm glad it was the way it went, but and it's over. Like, we can't think about the past, but thinking about postseason, it's going to be a little more tough than just that 3-game series that we just had.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I didn't like losing that game 3. And I know Carlos knows this, but I'm one of the biggest Padres haters, and the guy that hits a home run is Trent Grisham, former Padre, and the guy's hitting I think he's hitting 88 this season. I think he has 5 hits, and maybe 2 or 3 of them are home runs, and that's it. And then this guy goes up there and gets one right down the middle, right, and hits it out. I mean, it wasn't even a cheapie. It was a no doubter. So Trent Grisham hits that home run. And I get it. Yeah, Soto wasn't there. Maybe he does something. I mean, he has done pretty good against the Dodgers. He's hitting over 300. Maybe he does something in that game 1. Who knows? But then you also go back to Max Muncy's not there. You have that short porch in right field. How many, could Max Muncy have gotten over that short porch if he was playing? So kind of, it's sad that, they maybe not at both teams weren't at full capacity. And, if we do get to see it down the road in a World Series preview, I think it'd be awesome to see. I mean, just seeing the hype for this series, how it was just New York versus LA. I mean, it's kind of it gets you really pumped up. I mean, Carlos, you weren't born yet, right? That time they played, right? Dodgers, Yankees, right? You weren't born yet, right?
81, 77.
81, yeah.
70 is 81. No, I was already born. Yeah.
You weren't, okay.
Yeah, I was there. I was actually at the game. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I was, no, I definitely, I don't remember watching it though, but I know about it. But you know what, Juan Soto, it's like you guys are saying, it's in the past. That's a good thing. And we don't know how it factors in, because we know if he came up to bat, well, maybe Glasnow doesn't even pitch to him. Maybe they bring in Vesia to pitch against him. So it changes the whole dynamic of the game. So it's hard to kind of quantify what would really happen, so I don't really put too much into it. I did catch that Judge was pretty upset with the fan base about them chanting "We want Soto" when Grisham was batting, and then Grisham goes ahead and hits a 3-run home run. And I wanted to keep it positive, but the only thing there's one positive. Juan Soto's on my fantasy team, so it was easy to sit him out the whole series. So that was great. So I didn't lose any points because he didn't score any points. And then Glasnow, for some reason, and it could just be a coincidence, in the Pittsburgh game where he loses 1-0, he gives up a home run to Sawinski, and he's a 9th batter batting 177. Then he gives up a home run to is it Oswaldo Cabrera or right? Oscar Cabrera. And he's batting like 238. And I don't know if he's 8th or 9th batter, but he's at the bottom of the lineup. And then he gives up.
Too.
Yeah, he was 9th too. See, then he gives up a home run to Grisham, who was batting at the time like 90 or, you know, 0.090. So is he losing his focus on the guys who I guess he doesn't think are going to be able to drive the ball or something, and his focus only on the big hitters? I don't know. It just seems that way. It could be a coincidence, but as of late, I mean, his strikeout ratio is super high. He's striking out so many batters, but he's giving up those key runs, those key home runs. Yeah. Without that 3-run home run, the game's a completely different game. You know, the way, you know, I don't know if Ramirez probably wouldn't be in there for 2 innings. You know, it's just a completely different game. So it's hard to like say what would have happened if Juan played. Yeah, I mean, are they a better team with Juan? The obvious question, the obvious answer is yes, they are a better team. But it's hard to say how would the outcome have been. Would they still have lost 2 games? I think so.
Yeah, and it's interesting what you're saying about Glasnow. Yeah, when you do look at those home runs, and that's kind of what's bit him in his last couple of starts. He's giving up those home runs, and you know, prior to yesterday's game, Dodgers hadn't scored anything for him. So you know, he gave up that one home run, and then Dodgers didn't do anything for him, and he ends up losing. But he is a strikeout pitcher. You know, he's going out there and just trying to get these guys out, and maybe that's kind of been his mentality. Hey, just let me fastballs these guys and just throw it right. You know, and he's getting these that are going right over the middle. And, you know, like we said, a professional hitter can time that up and, you know, get barrel to bat and hit that out. But overall, like we said, you know, they ended up dropping the third game 6-4. If that Grisham doesn't hit that home run, maybe it's a different game. Dodgers go for a sweep. Who knows? But like I said, it's in the past. Dodgers won 2 out of 3. We're happy for that. They're coming back home, start a series on Tuesday night against the Texas Rangers, the world champion Texas Rangers, and old friend Corey Seager is about to make his return to LA. Now, he hasn't been to LA. I think the only time he was here was for the All-Star game a couple of seasons ago. And then prior to that, he hasn't come back as a visitor. So, Alicia, I'm going to start with you. Were you a big Corey Seager fan?
Okay, I really was. I was on that Corey Seager fan bus. I hated any Corey Seager slander. I was always rooting for him, especially when Turner wasn't on the team too. He was a good player. Like, you can't deny it. Like, I think he was our World Series MVP. And then when you go to the Rangers and you dominate, and I was kind of happy for the Rangers winning the World Series. I know I'm a Dodger fan, but just seeing the success he's had, and now our shortstop position, Mookie's doing great. But, I've even seen kind of him on record kind of saying it's a hit or miss, or that kind of hole in the middle infield. I wish it was Seager. That's just my opinion. But I think he's hurt right now. Am I wrong? Or...
I saw they asked Bochy. I think something with his hamstring, like a bowed hamstring. So he's kind of day to day. So we don't know if we're going to see him or not. But I think he's been out since Wednesday or Thursday. So remains to be seen if he'll actually get to be in these games. But I know Steve Webb did something on Dodgers Beat talking about Corey Seager and his time in LA. And I know, like you in the World Series, I was rooting for the Rangers. I kind of wanted to see Corey Seager, do something. And, he went off in that series. And, there was that huge debate, like, oh, you see, he's a postseason player, blah, 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 this and that, which, he's had some great series, but also he's had some postseasons where he wasn't that good. His last one with the Dodgers wasn't that good. So, it's great that he's had success. And do the Dodgers miss him? Probably, but also I always go back to, I don't think he wanted to stay in LA long term. So he found his contract and he found where he wanted to go, and he took it, and that's great for him. And unfortunately, Dodgers kind of were left in that. Well, they had Turner at the time, and now they're kind of in that hole. But we'll see what happens from there. But Carlos, what do you think about Corey Seager coming back to LA with the Texas Rangers for the first time?
Well, I would say I was a Corey fan when he was playing with the Dodgers. I mean, I'm a fan of any Dodger player. Once they're gone, it changes my perspective a little bit. I won't boo the guy. The guy was a class act. So, but like Alyssa was saying, I think he is hurt. Yeah, I didn't see him playing this weekend. So I won't. If I wanted to boo, I won't even have the opportunity to boo. He might not even play. But yeah, no, he's a good guy. And because I remember when he was playing short, I felt like his arm was good, but his fielding was kind of questionable. He didn't get all, it was questionable. Mookie, on the other hand, is the opposite. He fields all the balls, but his throwing is the question. So, but you know what? Like you said too, I think that he didn't want to stay with the Dodgers long term because I think the Dodgers would have, given everything he wanted, but they didn't, and it didn't work out. And so we move on from there, and now we're kind of in a. I don't say we're struggling to find a shortstop. I think Mookie Betts I think he's fine. I don't know if he's the ultimate answer for the next 5 years, but at least for this season, I think he's okay there. I'm excited to play the Rangers and the Royals. I think they're both playing 500 ball. We should honestly go either sweep both teams or take 4 out of 6 in this homestand. So we'll see. Hopefully, the Dodgers don't get that complacency and start playing to their level, because those two teams. I mean, the Royals have a better record than the Rangers. Rangers are under 500. I think they're 3 games under 500, so they should really sweep them. But the Dodgers, sometimes they just kind of play to the level of the competition, and it's not just the Dodgers. I think a lot of teams do, and hopefully, we can go score early and not try to come from behind and not fall behind. So we'll see. It'll be exciting. A lot of good giveaways too. Like we were saying, the Yamamoto bobblehead, that's exciting. The Joe Kelly jersey night tomorrow, which will be fun. And I know he's hurt right now, but it'll be cool. Maybe his wife will throw out the first pitch, I guess.
Yeah, the Dodgers, I think their last overall shortstop, I guess, that had the arm, that had the kind of the depth in the fielding. I hate to say it, but it was probably Manny Machado, right? When they got Manny Machado for that little bit of time. Manny has the rocket for an arm, and he's a great defender. But yeah, Corey kind of he was a decent. I thought he was a decent shortstop, and awesome bat. And I'm very happy to see the success he's had in Texas. Winning another championship. But I think now, this is the Dodgers year, and I think now Dodgers are going to kind of go up for the championship this year, and it'll be great to see Corey. Hopefully he does get to play in one of these games, and then before the Royals come in. I haven't really paid attention too much to what's kind of going on with the Royals. I know they've been doing pretty good. And I know they're in that Central Division that hasn't been too great, right? Are they still on top in the Central, or is it the Twins?
The Royals are in second place. The Central,
the Guardians, right?
Guardians. Right, the Guardians or the Indians.
Either one, right?
So I know that the Central, we always beat down the Central. It's like, hey, if you're like 500, you'll make the playoffs. Well, the Central is the only division that has 3 teams above 500, so they're actually it's actually a legit division. And the Royals, I mean, they made all those trades in all those moves in the offseason, and it's paid dividends. So they're a fun team to watch. So I mean, if Dodgers don't come out and take them seriously, they could lose that series. So Bobby Witt is having a good year, and their pitching staff is pretty good. I think I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce it properly. Is it Reagan, right? Reagan, the pitcher. Some lefty. He's one of their top pitchers, and so I know that. I think he pitched Saturday, so he'll definitely pitch in the Dodgers series. So, and I'm not sure if he's a lefty. I'm not too familiar with their rotation, but I know that I keep hearing his name, and I know the Seth Lugo is having a good season with them, and he played with the Padres. So I think he knows us, and we know him. So I think that'll be okay for the Dodgers. So we'll see if we face him. So yeah, that's actually actually a better series than the Rangers, in my opinion. So
yeah, I know the Royals didn't bring back Zach Greinke. It would have been cool if they brought Greinke back, kind of to see him pitch. Kind of he's a character. I always run across, like, just randomly I'll hear these Zach Greinke stories. I heard one the other day where I forgot who he was talking, but he told one of his teammates, like, hey, come down to the cage, I want to show you something. And the other guy was like, excited, okay, cool, let me go see. Or I think the video room or something. And then he pulls a video of Greinke hitting home runs, and he's all, you should do more of that. And he kind of just walked away. So it's like these Greinke stories are classics. So, but too bad he's not there. It'd be fun to have seen him. But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this weekly rewind edition, and we'll we have a, what is it, 6-game set, right? Six game homestand.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 4-2 on this homestand. What do you guys think?
I'll go 5-1.
5-1, Alyssa.
I'm believing them. I'm gonna hope they figure out their hitting. I'm gonna go 6-0.
Uh-oh.
Maybe
Okay.
that's what we need.
Okay.
I like
In
it.
reality, I'm thinking 5-1, but in my heart, I think 6-0.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it. Like I said, we'll go ahead and wrap this guy up. And thanks you guys. Thanks Carlos. Thanks Alyssa for joining us on this one.
You're welcome.
And we'll catch you guys on the next one.
This episode has been brought to you by Bet Online. The game starts here.